55861. You bring it and she'll bling it. The Pamper Me Nail Salon is located inside the W Salon at 1692 Madison. The Nail Diva Kimberly Branch should be your premier choice for natural nail care and superb maintenance on your hands and feet. Give her a call today at 314-2100 to book your appointment. Did you miss our first empowerment workshop? Well, Monday, July 27th is your chance to come and be educated, empowered, and enriched. We'll be empowering the LGBTQ community from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 2 Vance Avenue of downtown Memphis. Coming out. Register today on our website at relationshipunleashed.com.
And we're back. This is the Unleashed voice for the LGBTQ community. And I left home to be with my side piece. And my mama was out there cutting grass with no shirt on, with a Marlboro, with a Salem Light 100 hat on, and Wranglers with some pumps on. I'm providing education, empowerment, and enrichment. We're back, John. Let me give a shout out to Eddie Wiley. He's one of our hustlers on the show, and Robert Woods. These are two great gentlemen, and I love them to death. And they got together. They've been celebrating their new union by dressing alike for the last 2 shows.
Really?
Eddie Mama in West Memphis eating them crab legs, smoking them cigarettes in the dog track.
Don't forget our Bush beer.
And with a Bush beer. She baby boomer.
We have some friends that's tweeting us and Facebooking us and messaging me about the radio show. We just want to say thank you all for supporting us. And Mike Anderson, we hope we got that camera right for you.
Yeah, Mike.
Faye Wilson, we see you down in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Terry Lumper, get well over there. Hey, Mama.
Hey. Also, register for this event on the 27th. We got some great information, and it's free. Our nonprofit organization, relationshipunleashed.com. Please register for the event. And we're back with Dr. K.
Hey.
You anything else you want to say about Generation X, Y, Millennium before we go to the next one?
I really want to just emphasize that in every generation, the previous generation says that the next generation is horrible, terrible, and going straight to hell. So yes, so obviously that is not true. Mm-hmm. That it happens every time. We always say these children are so different. We were so much better, and I do think that's the one thing you have to remember. No, you were not so much better. Maybe you were so much different. Maybe you were different, but you're not better. In every generation, you have younger people and you have older people. And what you have to do is try to look for the similarities.
I agree.
Because when it all boils down, and this is the theme of my show, everybody wants love, peace, and happiness.
I totally agree.
Everybody wants that.
And money.
That helps bring love, peace, and happiness.
All right. What advice would you give a child who is experiencing bullying in school?
Well, first of all, I want to say this to the adults before we even talk about the kids.
Okay.
Bullying is an adult issue. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
What happens is when you have children who are getting bullied, the adults just look the other way. Mm-hmm. And that's why it occurs. Adults have to step in and stop it. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that it is really going to stop. Whenever you tell a child, just stand up to the bully, you're really a lot of times doing them a disservice, because the whole premise of bullying is there is a power differential there. So obviously that child is not as powerful as the person who is bullying them.
That's good.
So my advice to a child who's being bullied is you need to get help from the nearest trusted adult. Mm-hmm. Now I know sometimes we don't want to do that because we feel like, oh, I'm going to be a snitch and things of that nature, but especially within the LGBTQ community and children who have other issues that make them different from the mainstream, they are highly susceptible to being bullied. And when you're bullied, that makes you highly susceptible to suicide. And now people are starting to kill people. So homicide, depression, low achievement, any of those things. So it would behoove us as adults to make sure that all of our children feel free to learn and play with other children, and we have to step in and stop it. We can't make children necessarily like each other, but we can keep them from oppressing each other and attacking each other. And what we do is we we set up messages. Kids watch us all the time.
They do.
And they watch our body language. They watch who we're speaking to.
I agree.
They watch which kids you are protecting and which kids you're not protecting.
I agree.
And so a lot of times when you see a child who's being bullied, look at the adults around that child. They're probably ignoring that child, or they don't really like the child either. So they're subliminally sending a message to the other kids that it's okay to mess with that one. But what you have to do is show those children it's not okay by making sure you include that child, making sure you're letting other kids know that, hey, I have my stamp on this kid, and you might not like them, but you're not going to mess with them.
You're right. I did a little research, and so the definition of bullying is aggressive behavior that is intentional.
Yes.
And you're right, it's an imbalance, and it involves an imbalance of power. But one other thing that jumped out, it was like the 3 out of 4 students that was interviewed for this survey out of 700 kids, they admitted to being bullied with such remarks as being called gay, lesbian, questioned, and transgender. Even though these kids did not identify as being LGBTQ.
Right.
They said that between the ages of 12 and 17, that a child is more likely to be bullied of kids who are even thought of to be gay.
Right.
And that in this survey, 1/3 reported that in their school they are frequently harassed because of their perceived or actual sexual orientation. They might not even be gay, but the kids call them gay.
Exactly.
And call them out their names. So this was like striking, and it jumped out at me. And then some of the effects that kids endure over long-term bullying.
Right.
And you know, one of them, the big one, is suicide.
Yes, exactly. And one thing that I really want to speak to about that perceived being gay, we really have to watch that, because what happens is when you put somebody apart from everyone else, just because, for example, a woman has masculine traits or a man has feminine traits, does not mean they are homosexual.
You're absolutely right.
And so we need to stop putting labels on people and
I agree.
let people label themselves.
I totally
Because if you're constantly calling this little boy or this little girl gay and they're not, but yet you are bullying them, you're separating them, you're calling them this name, so now they're kind of out there by themselves. They may not be gay, but they may end up in some situations that they don't want to be in because they're separated from other people. And that's not right.
What we call that is that you're assigning them their gender.
Exactly.
In those kind of situations, you push them out and you make them identify or assimilate a certain culture that they're not inherently born into. And then that's where the confusion set in. And then that's where people get their validation from. Well, I knew you could be, and it's not. That's how it all ties in together.
Yes, I think people get very confused about, gender identity versus sexuality. There's like a big confusion about that.
Oh, honey, I'm still learning.
Yes, exactly.
ignorant.
Exactly.
If you want to get into this conversation, give us a call at 901-260-5926. Again, the number is 901-260-5926. Yeah, I think that the primary word is ignorance. People are afraid of what they don't know. And for some reason, we don't want to get out of our comfort zone to learn new things. We get comfortable, and we want to stay right there and do it the same way every day, and we don't want to learn anything else about this evolving world. Like my mother said downstairs, the world and history is going to change whether you like it or not. Or whether you're part of it or not a part of it. It's going to change.
And whether you agree with it or not.
Totally.
Because, I may not hold the same beliefs as you, but we should be able to have a respectful conversation about our differences. That's how people get along in the world. Everybody can't be the same. Otherwise, the world wouldn't be as wonderful and beautiful as
boring.
it is. Exactly. Like, I have white earphones. You have pink ones, which I really like.
Pink ones?
Exactly. Well,
You know why
you
you have
They match my pumps I got on.
I heard this very, very strong affirmation from Dr. Jan Young of the CC Foundation, executive director, and in our class. And she told us one day in class that the truth changes. And she just blew our socks off when she dove into to let me back up what I'm saying about the truth changes. And that the truth changes all the time. It changes. Things that were once true are no longer true anymore. And the truth changes. It has changed throughout history. I can dive in it if you want to. I let my son tear it up a little bit for you. But the truth changes. Tear it up a little bit.
We have a caller. I'm going to tear it up when I get through this caller.
We got to get into one more subject, too.
Yeah, we're going to get in. Just take this call and then we'll go.
We got to talk about Sandra Blank.
Caller, you're live on KWAM 990 Talk Radio.
Sandra?
Go ahead, Sandra. Uh-huh. What part of town are you in now, Miss Sandra? Well, come on to the studio and donate. We have security downstairs. He's a male black with a big old gun at the front door. If you knock on the door and give him your money, put it in an envelope here, give it to us. We're going to the hotel when we leave here to donate the monies to her. Sure. Our P.O. box. Send it to our P.O. box.
What you can do, we'll hang up, and then you call back, and we'll let our engineer take your information down so we can call you out of the show.
All right. So
Thanks for calling.
all right. So her question was.
I'm making sure that I'm understanding it. It
Okay.
sounds as if what I heard her say, basically he was wearing eyeliner, right? Like black under his eyes. Is that what
She said black on it. I guess.
eyeliner. Well,
I know somebody daddy used to wear eyeliner. I ain't gonna call no name,
but you know what? And if you talk, but what I'm gonna say is everything is relative, because let's say you
I
have
wear
a
blush.
male who wears eyeliner.
But
Maybe,
Prince used to wear eyeliner.
yeah, maybe he's goth. Maybe he's
Right.
into the goth type of deal.
Yeah, like
you
Marilyn
know,
Manson and,
exactly,
Mick Jagger.
exactly. And yeah, Prince wears lace and pumps and curls.
Baby, Eddie
And-
do too. Eddie Wilder.
and you know he's heterosexual as far as I know. So
Exactly.
you cannot make these assumptions about people just based on what you're seeing or what you think, or just because you don't like it, you want to put a label on them. You have to let people label
They want
themselves.
to put everybody in a box.
Yes, and I think I know it's always better to ask a question when you don't know than to make a statement.
People are afraid. You want to talk about Miss? Anything else you want to say about this before we go to this next subject?
We can go to the next subject.
Okay, go ahead, Mother Dearest.
So when it was just so much going on in our country this week, and when you always have an agenda, then you have a kind of a week that took off like we've had, and you have things that you have to touch on. So I just want to talk about Sandra Bland a little bit. Yeah, she's a black female, 28-year-old that was arrested July the 10th, and in Texas. And she went there, they say, for a job interview, and I think she got the job, and she was celebrating and was pulled over for fell into sickness. And during that encounter with the law, she was arrested for
Traffic signal.
assaulting the police officer and taken to jail.
Right.
And her bond to get out was like $500. And from what the article said, she was preparing to make bond. And between 3 days, I'm trying to figure out how did she stay in jail 3 days for something that a charge like that.
Right, exactly.
And she talked to her mom, and she was found dead in her cell.
Exactly.
And they said she died from asphyxiation or in some form or fashion. And now there are all types of someone videotaped her arrest with the officer with the cell phone and showing her talking about that he slammed her on the ground and she was having numbness in her arms and things like that. And it was another unarmed black man that was killed this week also. So with the police as well. So you have another 2 unarmed people dying in the custody or being arrested with the police officer. And both of these are highly racially charged areas of our country. That's why we're talking about it. And now the sheriff, they say he did improper stop with her and that he's been fired. The officer that arrested her and has a history of racial abuse and claims. So this is going to be real interesting how this panned out, and a lot of people were very upset, and they're protesting. Her family want answers.